Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Now I don't have my mic with me today because I've been running around all morning, so hopefully the audio is clear and you can hear me. Just let me know if you're not able to hear me for any reason. I'm just going to wait for a bit, as always, just to have a few more people log in. So this is Nim Golkar. Welcome to Sunday Chats with Nim, and I am doing my usual Sunday afternoon session. Hi Vandana, how are you doing? I'm glad it's loud and clear. I've been out all morning, so it has been a bit rushed, and I wasn't carrying all my usual stuff with me, so I don't have the mic, and fortunately I've got the tripod, which makes it easier to have the Facebook Live session. So today is going to be fairly relaxed and casual. Last weekend I did a general Q&A, and we had some technical issues back then, so I think it got cut off in the middle. So a lot of people were not able to ask some of the questions they had lined up for me. So if you have any question on any general topic today, by all means ask that, and if it is asked during the live session, then I will do my best to answer it. And today I'm going to talk about 5 habits that will transform your life, and I'm going to be talking about the habits that have helped me in many ways change my life in a positive direction. So I'm going to be sharing that. Thanks, Vandana. I wanted to thank everyone for all the birthday wishes, and truly overwhelmed and truly humbled by so much love that people have shown me on social media. I'm really enjoying reading all the messages one by one, and I'm sorry if I haven't personally replied to you all yet, but I will eventually. But thank you so much for wishing me. And I had a lot of people ask me whether I would do a Sunday Chats today since it's my birthday, and they were not expecting me to do one. But like I always tell everyone, once you make a commitment, you must stick to it, birthday or no birthday, right? So this is the time every Sunday when I come on air and I speak about a topic. So even though it's my birthday, I am here because I think my time with you all is really special, and I look forward to it all week. So I have just run into the office for a very quick Sunday Chats with Nim this afternoon. And I'm going to be covering the 5 habits that will transform your life. So if at any point you have any questions, please do ask me. Last week's general Q&A, like I said earlier, was left incomplete because of technical issues. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask me on any general topic as well. Thanks, Aruna. Thank you. I've had so much cake today. It is not funny. I'm not really a cake person, but yeah, I've had a lot of cake since morning, and I'm going to have more cake after this session. So there's no escaping that. And as for birthday resolutions, I haven't made one today. I usually don't make birthday resolutions or New Year resolutions for that matter, because I think you don't really need a particular day to make resolutions. So I do make a lot of resolutions throughout the year, but I don't necessarily wait for my birthday to make any sort of special decisions. But what I did do this morning was I thought really long and hard about what are the habits that make successful people successful. And I gave that a lot of thought and reflection on my birthday morning. And I think that is so important because once we sort of build a toolkit of habits that successful people implement, it makes it so much easier for us to become successful ourselves. Okay, so we're off to a bit of a slow start. I usually have more people logging in, so I'm not quite sure whether to dive right in or to wait, but of course if people miss it, they can always listen to the recorded version. So for all those who've joined in, please say hello to me, and today we're going to talk about the 5 habits that will transform your life, because they certainly have changed mine. And I really thought about these habits, and I made a few notes so that I can share those 5 habits with you all. And I assure you that if you implement those habits and you put in the hard work, you will see a change in your life for the better, positive changes. Okay, so let's dive right in. What are these 5 habits that will transform your life? The first one, and this is something that I practice a lot on a daily basis, is, you know how we all face criticism at different points, whether it's at work, whether it's at home. We face criticism. Now, sometimes it is constructive criticism and sometimes it is not so constructive criticism. But the point I'm trying to focus on, the first habit that will transform your life, is if you develop the ability to focus on the content of the criticism rather than the tone. So I'm going to repeat that. Every time someone criticizes you, if you develop the ability to focus on the content, what is actually said in that criticism, rather than focusing or worrying about the tone that the person is using, that is going to really help you get ahead so much quicker. Now, typically what happens every time someone gives us constructive feedback, or even negative feedback for that matter, depending on the tone that the person has used, we feel insulted, we feel hurt, we feel offended, and that's all we think about. All we think is, how dare someone talk to me like that? And when we let our ego get in between, what happens is we miss out on the message completely. Now, someone like me, I'm always so hungry for knowledge. I'm always so hungry to learn new ways of improving, that even if I feel offended or a little bit hurt by someone's feedback, I let myself firstly get over that sense of feeling hurt, and then I will actually sit back and really think about that feedback long enough to find out if there's anything, even if there's a small kernel of truth, that I can learn from and improve myself. Okay, so don't let yourself get offended or hurt by the tone. Focus on the content, because the content is what is going to help you get ahead. Now, there is, of course, a time and a place to tell people not to speak to you in a certain manner. Definitely. I'm not asking you to be a doormat. But even more important than that is, rather than sulking or crying over why someone spoke to you in a certain manner, if you really, really want to succeed in life, you must listen to any criticism that comes your way and see if there's anything you can learn from it. And if you can become a better person because of that criticism, even 1% better than who you were before you got that criticism, I think that's fantastic. Sammy, thank you for the birthday wishes. I know you've sent, all of you have sent beautiful, beautiful messages. And like I said at the start of the session, thank you so much for all the love you've been showing me all day. In fact, I woke up super early this morning at about 5:30, something like that, on a Sunday morning. And really excited because I knew all these messages would be waiting for me, and sure enough they were. So thank you, and yes, I will get back to each and every one of you very, very soon. But at the moment, I am truly savoring all the messages that are coming in, all the calls, and I've had a nice birthday so far. So thank you very much. Today we are talking about the 5 habits that will transform your life. The first one that I just covered was, whenever you receive criticism or critical feedback, whether it is constructive feedback or whether it's negative feedback, rather than getting bogged down by the tone someone has used, as in how they spoke to you, focus instead on the content, because that's where the true gems lie, It's in the content of the criticism. Whenever someone criticizes me, I make sure that no matter how insulted, offended, hurt, sad I feel, I still study that criticism to see if there's any way I can improve because of it. Thanks, Divya. Thank you for the birthday wishes. This is awesome. Isn't it wonderful to be on a Facebook Live on your birthday? Because then I get to thank you all personally for all the love you've been showing me. And I am so glad that over the months and years you've been enjoying the posts and the videos that I've been putting out there, which is awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the second habit that will transform your life. This one, and again, this one has made all the difference for me when I figured it out, and that was get to know your productive peaks. P-E-A-K-S. Get to know your productive peaks. Now, funnily enough, a lot of people think that they know exactly the time of day when they are at their most productive, but for the large part, most people don't. Okay, you may think you know, but you don't really know those 1 or 2 hours when you are at your most productive. So the first step, if you want to become successful, and each one's definition of success will differ, if you want to become successful, you must find out the time of day when you are at your best, when you are the most productive. For most people, this productive peak is only maybe 1 or 2 hours in a 24-hour day. Okay, and once you find out your productive peak, which is the time of day when you function the best, that's when you must do the work that will take you closer to your long-term goals. Now, typically what happens, let's say if you are a morning person, and let's say you are at your energetic best between, say, 6:30 to 8:30 a.m. in the morning, a lot of people are spending that time perhaps on social media, perhaps on just checking their emails, etc., etc. And later on in the day, they may think to themselves, okay, I will start working on my goals, but their productive peak period has already gone by. So they're no longer feeling energetic, they're no longer feeling on top of the world, and it is easy at that point to start giving yourself excuses and say, I will leave this for another day. So I'm going to give you a personal example, and I'm going to come right back and say thank you to all those wonderful people who are wishing me. So don't go away. I will come back and read those messages. But
happy birthday. Surprise.
Ooh, thank you. I have just received this beautiful bouquet, and I'm not really sure where that's coming from. But you know, receiving flowers is always wonderful, so thank you. Okay, I'm gonna have to find a vase for these beautiful flowers. Thank you. I'm going to continue with my very solemn Facebook Live session. I'm back. So those were very impromptu flowers that arrived, and I'm really, really tickled. And I think I've forgotten what I was telling you about, so hold on. It was about productive peaks. Oh, I'm loving this. All the birthday messages are popping up as we speak. So that's great. So I'll give you my own example. My productive peak is in the morning, which is about, say, 5 a.m. to between 5 to, say, 7 a.m. is when I'm at my productive best. So all my books, whether it was Diary of an Immigrant Bride, whether it was Unlock the Real You, whether it is my Facebook articles, whether it's my blog posts, majority of them are written during my productive peak. So most of my written creation, the content is done between 5 and 7 a.m. because that is the time when I'm at my best, when I'm at my most creative, my most productive. And of course, I will post it later on in the day, but I will create it during that time span because that's when my the output is at its best. So what I encourage you all to do is to think about how do you find out what your productive peak is? Ask yourself this one question. At what time of the day do I feel fully energized? At what time of the day do I feel ready to take on the world? At what time of the day do I feel unstoppable? When I feel as though anything is possible. When you get the answer to that, that is your productive peak. That is the time of day when you will bring out your best output. So make sure that rather than doing, housework, or rather than doing daily chores that can wait, rather than being on Facebook or YouTube, use those 1 or 2 hours to work towards your long-term goals, because the rest of the day you can always catch up on the things that don't matter. If I don't write at that point at 5 o'clock in the morning, then I'm probably not going to find that creative energy during the rest of the day. So find out that productive peak and do your best work in those 1 or 2 hours. Okay, so that is the second habit that is really, really going to transform your life, because it has transformed mine. Let me read the messages. Vera, hey Nim, wish you a very happy birthday. Wish you all the happiness and more success. Thank you so much, Vera, for such a lovely birthday message. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Marietta says, happy birthday, Nim, and may God bless you abundantly. Many thanks, Marietta, for the kind birthday wishes. And Brinda, you are saying, wishing you a very happy birthday, Nim. Tum jiyo hazaro saal ke din 50,000. Wow, fantastic. I love that. Thank you so much. I am really enjoying this. And for those who've only just joined in, today is very, very casual. It is very, very relaxed. And we are talking about the 5 habits that will transform your life. Now, this is a topic that I thought a lot about when I woke up this morning, because when it's your birthday, you tend to spend at least a few moments reflecting on the year that has gone by, and you spend a few moments reflecting on what you may have learned. And I thought that I really thought about some of the habits that I have put into place over the years that have helped me achieve many of my goals, and I thought I will share those 5 habits with you. So the first habit, in case you missed out logging in at the start of the session, the first habit was always listen to the content of any criticism that comes your way rather than focusing on the tone. And the second habit that I covered was always recognize your productive peak, the time of the day when you are at your energetic best. That's when your productivity will go sky high. Okay. So let's come now to the third habit that is going to transform your life, and that is you need to develop the art of letting go of short-term pleasure so that you can win your long-term goals. Now, this is extremely difficult, and this is why a lot of people are not able to do this particular not able to put this habit into place. So let me repeat it, but honestly, it has worked for me. And when you learn this particular habit, everything will fall into place in terms of your goals. Okay. So this third habit that will transform your life is you must develop the art of letting go of short-term pleasure to gain your long-term goals. So I'm going to give you an example. When I was writing my first book, Diary of an Immigrant Bride, it is, and I'm not sure how many of you watching this have read the book, but it is a fairly big book. It's about 90,000 words long. Okay, it was a massive project. And in the last 6 months before the book was published, I had a deadline that the publishers had set for me, which I had to meet. So I was determined to have this book written. That was my long-term goal. Now, during those last 6 months before the book got published, there were many occasions where, all my friends were catching up for parties, were catching up for coffees, and were catching up for nights out, etc., etc. And they would invite me and say, Nim, come along, we're having this fun session over the weekend. I had to make a decision whether to go off and have a great time with them, and that was very tempting, or whether I should give up that short-term pleasure so that I could work on my book, which I needed to complete. Now remember, every time some new temptations pop up for you that stand in the way of you achieving one of your long-term dreams, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to resist that temptation. Can you imagine how difficult it must have been for me to know that all my friends are catching up for these, all these fun parties, and I had to make the decision whether or not to join them or whether I should sit back at home in my pajamas with my coffee and work on the novel. And you know what? I chose the latter. I said to my friends, I'm sorry, I cannot join you. And I said this on multiple occasions. And I love all my friends for understanding this and for not holding it against me. But even though it was very, very difficult for me to say no to them, even though I wanted to be part of the fun, I had to make a decision that that short-term pleasure of going out with them would need to wait, because I really needed to work on the book. Okay, so if you, my friends, really want to succeed in life, if you really want to achieve the goals you have set for yourself, you must recognize that there will be many temptations along the path, and resisting those temptations is going to be a huge challenge. But you must visualize the long-term goal. What is it that you're working towards? And then with that in mind, with that goal in mind, you must learn to say no to some of those smaller temptations that come your way. At that point in time, it might be heartbreaking to say no to something that gives you so much joy. But maybe a year or 2 years later, when you look back, you will be glad that you made those sacrifices, and you will be glad because you will have fulfilled your dream, and you'll be so proud of yourself for resisting the temptations that came your way. So don't worry about offending people. Don't worry about whether people will understand or not. The real ones will. So you must have faith. And even if people don't understand, it's okay. You're not going to be able to please everyone, which is what I always say in all my sessions. Don't fall into the trap of trying to make every single person in your life happy, because you're not going to be able to, and you're only going to end up making yourself and the people around you miserable. So Divya, hats off to those understanding friends. Absolutely hats off to them, because they all understood that I was on a mission, that I was working towards a goal, and we still talk about it looking back, and yeah, it's fine. So of course there were some people who didn't understand, and at least I found out where I stood with them. But for the large part, all my friends were truly supportive and genuinely wanted to help me reach many of my long-term goals. So the third habit that will transform your life is to develop the ability to let go of short-term pleasure so that you can gain your long-term goals. How are we doing for time? We've got 5 more minutes. Does anyone have any questions while I sip the water? Any questions, anyone? Before I go off onto the last 2 habits that will transform your life. Vrinda says sometimes we need to ignore those who are not supporting. Absolutely right, because when people, Vrinda, when someone tells you, oh Vrinda, don't do this, it is impossible, remember that they are saying it's impossible because for them it is impossible. That does not mean it will be impossible for you. So you owe it to yourself to try and find out if it is indeed impossible. And you know what? Even if you fail at doing something, it is the adventure of trying something that truly counts. It doesn't matter whether you succeed or whether you fail. It matters that you tried. And if we keep worrying about the destination, we're not going to be able to enjoy the journey. So there will be some people who will support your long-term goals, and there will be some people who don't. And that's okay. We don't have to burn bridges with those who don't. We just have to understand and accept that we're not going to win every single person's approval. And sometimes we do need to ignore the naysayers and move on. Because if we keep stopping on our journey to try and please everybody, we're not going to get much done. Okay, so the fourth habit that will transform your life is to discover your zone of genius, discover your lane in life, and then stick to it. Discover your zone of genius. So what is your zone of genius? The zone of genius is the one skill or maybe one or two skills that you were born with, that you were born to explore. Find those skills and then spend the rest of your life becoming a master at them. Hi Deepika, thank you for the birthday wishes. I am indeed having a wonderful birthday, and I've received these beautiful flowers from I don't know who in my office just some time ago. So that is really, really cute. Pink flowers, love them. I'll go home and find a nice vase for them. So thank you everyone for the birthday wishes. And I'm here today for Sunday Chats with Nim, just to share with you the 5 habits that will transform your life. And certainly these are 5 habits that have transformed my life. And I thought on my birthday, it's something I would love to share with you all. So find your zone of genius. Now, a lot of people spend their entire lives trying to become perfect at things for which they don't have any natural capacity. Okay, they spend their entire lives trying to become better and better and better at skills that they were not born with, and that's why they are so frustrated. So what I suggest is find out the skill that you are really good at, that you really enjoy, and then once you've discovered that, that is your zone of genius. That is what you do better than anyone else. And then you spend the rest of your life simply honing that skill and developing mastery at it. Find your lane and stick to it. That's what I do. I know the 1 or 2 things that I'm good at. Now, for example, I believe that I have certain skills in writing, certain skills in motivating and speaking. I don't try to become good at other skills. You know, I don't want to become a famous painter or an artist or a cook or a poet. No, I'm not trying to do multiple things. I figured out the 1 or 2 things that I'm really good at, and now I spend all my time building on those 1 or 2 skills. So I've found my lane in life, and I stick to that lane because I know what I do well. And remember, you're not in competition with anyone around you. You're only in competition with yourself. So all I do is, when I think of competition, I always know what is happening around me, but then I ask myself at the end of the day, am I 1 step ahead of where I was yesterday? So I don't worry about being 1 step ahead of someone else. I'm only concerned with being marginally better, marginally more skilled than who I was the day before. And that's the healthy competition that we need to work with all the time. Najma Kaki, thank you. Okay, so that was a birthday call coming in. So there was a bit of interruption. Can you all still hear me? Please say yes if you can still hear me. I had a WhatsApp call coming through, and temporarily my Facebook Live broadcast was stalled. So hopefully you can all still hear me. Say yes, someone, if you can still hear me, so that I can move on to the last habit that will transform your life. Okay, let's read what Divya has to say. Divya, I found this 3rd habit is great to find true supporters of us and to keep ourselves from negative people. That's right. Yes, I have covered negative people and how to handle them before, and it is very important to keep in perspective the people who are constantly standing in your way. So the fourth habit that will transform your life that I just covered was find your zone of genius. Find your lane. You know how when you're driving on the roads, and I don't know if you can see the road behind me, but so many drivers keep switching their lanes, trying to get ahead. Now just use that metaphor in the context of real life. Okay, if you keep trying to change lanes, if you keep trying one skill and then another skill after some time because you've got bored, you're not going to gain mastery at anything. So how do you find that one skill that you were born to do? Is say yes to opportunities that come your way. It's only by saying yes to new opportunities that you will give yourself the opportunity to find out the skill that you were born with and the skill that you have the ability to become a master at. So once you find your lane, jolly well stick to it and simply become better and better at that one skill or those one or two skills. And the last habit before I wind up and go off to more birthday partying is raise the bar for yourself. Okay, what is raise the bar? So I'll give you an example. Say you set a bar for yourself here at this point. You say, this is what I want to achieve. And then say you achieve it. You go through the rest of your life feeling super contented because you achieved the bar at the level you had set. But what I suggest you do, and what I always do for myself, is raise that bar to a level where you are forced to stretch yourself outside your comfort zone. Always set goals that make you just a little uncomfortable. If you only keep setting yourself goals that are easy to achieve all the time, you're not going to raise the bar sufficiently to be able to achieve some of those massive dreams that you have dreamt for yourself. Okay, so the last habit that will transform your life is keep raising the bar, keep demanding more from yourself. Every morning when I wake up, I look back at what I've achieved so far and I tell myself, I pat myself on the back and say, great Nim, you did this, fantastic. You cannot rest on your laurels. Let's raise the bar just a little bit higher and see what else you can do. Because unless you raise the bar for yourself, unless you ask more from yourself, you're never going to be able to know if you can achieve something or not. The problem with us is we talk to too many people about our dreams, and then all those friends and relatives will tell us, oh, don't bother, that's impossible. Don't bother, you're too old for that. Don't bother, no one has ever done this before. So what do? You accept the bar that they have set for you, and you go through the rest of your life never finding out if you could have done it. Okay, so talk to less people about your dreams, because the less people you tell about what you want to do, the less naysayers will come your way. And you owe it to yourself to try. Okay, so every morning wake up and ask yourself, what can I do today that will make me just a little bit uncomfortable, but which will take me closer to the goals that I have set for myself? Because you must stretch yourself to grow. And like they say, it is not so much achieving the goal that is important. It is who you become as a result of trying to achieve that goal that will make all the difference. So that is it for today. Let me quickly read the last few messages. Brinda, you said, good to know those habits, never heard of them, always heard of time management, discipline, great enlightenment. Thanks, heaps. Thanks, Brinda. I am so glad you found those habits helpful. The reason I put together those habits were I actually thought about the habits that I have brought into my own life over the last few years and the habits that have helped me. And I have jotted those down today for today's session, and those are the ones I'm sharing with you today. Hi Taz, thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you so much everyone for joining me on my birthday in this live session and spending some of your Sunday with me. I am going off now to eat some more cake. I've had quite a few pieces of cake all morning, but hey, a birthday girl deserves to have cake through the day. So thank you everyone. I will see you next Sunday with yet another topic. Have a fantastic week ahead. Keep smiling, keep dreaming, keep doing. Okay, let's quickly read Divya's message before I go. Really great session. Yes, so Divya, you've gone through the 5 habits. Find content in the, focus on the content and the criticism rather than the tone. Find your productive peaks, the time of the day when you are at your productive best. Let go of short-term pleasures to gain long-term goals. Find your zone of genius. So find the skill that you were born to do, and then raise the bar for yourself. Always demand more. Fantastic. That is a great summary, Divya. Well done. I'm glad to see that those points have resonated with you all. Thank you for listening. Off I go, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.